Standard.
I can say with zero hesitation that we are ready to fly.
This crew of 4 civilians is ready to make history.
The best is yet to come.
The tests are done. The rocket is ready. And the countdown clock is ticking.
To be a part of this unique crew is a proof for me that there is no dream beyond reach.
The first all-private space flight to the International Space Station is go for launch.
We understand this first civilian mission is a big honor and a big opportunity.
Now join us as we witness what could be the next chapter in human spaceflight.
We're primed for success and ready to go. Light it up.
Epic, monumental, you pick the word. Hi, everybody. Thank you so much for joining us this Friday morning on Spectrum News. I'm Ybeth Bruzual.
And I'm Julie Gargotta. They talk about a big honor, a big opportunity. In just a short while, Axiom Mission 1 launch happens from our Kennedy Space Center.
You know, this, as we have been mentioning, will be the first all-private mission to the International Space Station. Live pictures on the screen. You see those astronauts on the right. They are ready. And that beautiful picture on the left. What a beautiful vessel. As of right now, all systems are go. And we're expecting a launch here in just a little bit at 11:17 this morning.
And we're bringing you live team coverage all morning. Spectrum News space experts Greg Pallone, Will Robinson-Smith. They're at Kennedy Space Center. Plus, we have our Ashleigh Mills. She's been joining us from Titusville, where crowds have slowly been amassing, gathering, all to watch that moment.
Yeah, so the big question is, how's the weather looking? Let's check in with certified meteorologist Maureen McCann. What are you seeing right now?
This morning, we're seeing a lot of sunshine there along the Space Coast, and it's a 90% favorable forecast. Our cameras along the east coast of Central Florida have been indicating all that sunshine so far throughout the day, and good thing it's today and not yesterday, and we had all those storms moving through. One thing to consider with that primary constraint, it's a bit breezy out there. It is going to be a day that we have winds of around 15 to 20 miles per hour, but that is Cocoa Beach nearby. And back to that launch forecast, the liftoff winds at a probability of 90% go, looking like we are in pretty good shape there along the Space Coast.
All right, thanks so much, Maureen. While the launch crew makes their final preps, I cannot help but think of Beastie Boys Intergalactic. We have better than the Beastie Boy. We have our own news crew watching the action from the front row seats.
Yeah, they have really nice seats, don't they? Spectrum News space experts Greg Pallone, Will Robinson-Smith, all smiles, ready for this launch. In just a matter of time, guys, this is such a big day for the Space Coast, also for Axiom.
Yeah, it really is a big deal, Julie and Ybeth, you know, for Axiom doing this Axiom-1 mission, the first private astronaut mission to the International Space Station. Everything's going well on the technical front. I haven't heard of any problems. You heard Mo just a moment ago with the weather, standing at 90% go and looking good. Got a little bit of a breeze out here at the Kennedy Space Center, but things looking good out at pad 39A, which is about 3.5 miles behind us, as that Falcon 9 standing poised with the 4-member crew inside the Endeavour Crew Dragon capsule, ready for liftoff here in less than 15 minutes, Will.
Yeah, and they just noted in the launch countdown that the next big milestone is terminal count. So we're getting very close to this rocket lifting off, and you know, it's just another milestone not only for Axiom Space but for SpaceX. Busy month for them. They started with Transporter 4 launch. They've got this on deck right now. They've got Crew 4 in about a week and a half. A lot of, you know, things that we've seen SpaceX do time and time again, like reusing this booster. This will be the 5th flight of this particular booster. It's going to be the 3rd flight for this Crew Dragon. So reusability, obviously, name of the game for SpaceX.
Yeah, that has been their mantra for all of these years, and the cadence of launches just really ramping up. We saw a lot in 2021. We're seeing a lot more in 2022. We'll see if a record is set out here on the Space Coast for those launches. But again, this mission up to the International Space Station, it's a 10-day mission, but 8 days on board the orbiting outpost. Lots of research being done, 25 experiments and 100 100-hour period. These astronauts have trained significantly, up to 1,000 hours, to make sure that they are prepared for this mission and prepared to perform all of these experiments that will be taking place there.
And a lot of preparation in just how to live on the space station, because as was mentioned by both NASA folks and Axiom Space yesterday, they said that that's the distinction from just a space tourist to a private astronaut. It's the time on the station, it's the interactions they're going to have with the crew, and interaction with the space station. You got to know where to sleep, how to use the bathroom, all these things that, you know, for 3 out of the 4 astronauts, they've never done before in microgravity. So it's going to be a fascinating experience for them.
Things you take for granted down here on this planet, I can tell you that right now. Speaking of excitement, we know that crowds gather in and around the Space Coast, especially there at Spaceview Park there in Titusville. That's where our own Ashleigh Mills is amongst all the watchers who will be checking out this launch in a matter of minutes. Ashleigh, how's it looking and how's the excitement there?
The excitement is up. People are anticipating this. We are so close to the launch. Take a look at all the space that's been filled in here. What a difference a couple of hours makes. People really excited to see this launch happen. People have filled in by the water side, really hoping to get the best view of this launch now. And there's a myriad of people that we've spoken with from all walks of life. A lot of people traveled to see this. Some people are here locally. I spoke with one man who brought his whole family out, his young children. And one of those reasons he's so excited to be here today is because it is the first civilian mission. He says this might even have implications for his own kids. Take a listen.
I don't know. I think it's pretty cool. Like, it's pretty cool to think about the possibility they can be on the rocket one day. For the,
Interesting story with that family there. Earlier in the week, when a lot of flights got canceled, they were able to make their vacation into a week-long thing with this launch in mind. Kind of a highlight there, making a bad situation turn really good, because this is an historic event and people are pumped to be out here. So we'll send it back to you, Greg and Will.
All right, thanks a lot, Ashleigh. You know, lots of excitement building up for this launch, the first private astronaut mission to the International Space Station. The timeline looking good, and, you know, we've talked about the weather, and it is gorgeous out here.
It is gorgeous. There is a breeze, but that doesn't seem to be interfering with the launch countdown as things are moving forward, and we join one Greg to another Greg. This one's a captain, though. This is Captain
aye,
Greg
sir.
With 45th Weather Squadron, and of course your team has the ever important job of keeping eyes on the range, making sure that the rockets are meeting that launch criteria. First off, how are we looking at this point, and what are some of those things that you guys look for?
So I appreciate it, Will. So I'd like to say right off the bat that I'm going to quote my colleague from yesterday during the press brief, Mr. Seisnick over here, that it's a bad day to be a cloud. So with that cold front that came through yesterday, we saw all that active weather. Now that has moved through, and we're just seeing pretty clear skies, so we're not worried about any type of cloud activity. But that cold front did bring quite a bit of winds, as we're feeling right now, so we could be seeing some threat for surface winds as well as winds along the corridor. Right now everything is good. The probability of violation is less than 10%, so again, into the last few minutes here, we're feeling pretty confident for weather.
So you're probably not feeling on the team if your name is Cumulus or Cirrus right now.
No, definitely not. You want to be existent right now. So
one of the things we talked about before is, you know, obviously this is a private astronaut mission, but really there's a lot of one-to-one comparisons when you think of the support that you guys do when it comes to professional astronauts versus, you know, private mission like this.
Yeah, so when it comes to weather, every mission has to go through the same atmosphere. So whenever we're doing any type of weather support for the Eastern Range here at Cape Canaveral, we're doing weather support for every rocket launch. So whether that's going to be a private astronaut or governmental astronaut, we are doing the same weather support for the actual rocket itself here at the Eastern Range. So
yeah, these are the days, I guess, less is more, and these are the days that we always look forward to, because there can be problems with the weather, can be technical issues, but today just doesn't seem to be one of those days.
Yeah, so far everything's looking good. We were a little weary earlier this week with a threat for winds here, but we're getting really close and feeling much more confident now. So
that's what we love to hear.
Absolutely.
Well, thank you so much for joining us, and, you know, wish you guys the best of luck. And obviously you got to turn around and do it again for when this crew comes back, and then get ready for Crew 4.
That's right. So I appreciate all y'all for having me here, and hopefully see you guys again soon.
Absolutely.
Cool. Captain, appreciate it. All right, well, there you have it. The weather forecast looking great on both ends, and this is great not just for the launch team, the crew on board the Endeavour Crew Dragon capsule, but also for the folks who have come out here to the Space Coast to witness this historic launch. Ybeth, Julie, send it back to you for now.
I love that. Some weather jokes, captain jargon, but you know, the big takeaway is that it's a go. It's good.
It's a go. It's really good, and we can see from the beautiful pictures behind them. Okay, so it's been a long day for the astronauts, and actually they're just getting started.
Yeah, space expert Jerry Hume is with us right now to talk more about this, some timelines. You know, the astronauts have been through a lot, but they still have a long journey ahead of them. It's not ending here.
Oh yeah, the crew of Axiom Space 1, they're going to arrive at the International Space Station tomorrow morning around 9:30, less than 24 hours after blasting off on Crew Dragon Endeavour. They'll live and work on board Space Station for just over a week, conducting contracted science experiments, about 25 of them, and other commercial projects. Then they'll join 3 NASA astronauts, 1 European Space Agency astronaut, and 3 Russian cosmonauts on board the space station. That means a total of 11 people on the ISS at one time. Now, around Easter time, that's when the Axiom-1 crew will return on Endeavour, and they're going to splash down off the Florida coast, usually the Gulf, sometimes it's off on the Atlantic. And a few days later, now set for April 21st, the Crew 4 mission is set to begin at the Kennedy Space Center. 3 NASA astronauts and a European Space Agency astronaut from Italy will board a brand new Crew Dragon called Freedom to launch to the ISS. NASA's also looking at April 23rd as a backup date, just to give teams time between the 2 missions. They'll be at the space station much longer, spending several months in low Earth orbit. Now, when Crew 4 goes up, that's when Crew 3 comes down and splashes down. The latest Crew 3 will come down on Crew Dragon Endurance is May 10th, ending their mission, which began in October of last year. They'll have hosted plenty of private citizens at the ISS during that time. A couple of Japanese tourists back in December, and now the Axiom-1 team. And a very busy time in space, and space tourism is taking off, shows no signs of stopping anytime soon.
So neat to see that. Commercializing low Earth orbit, space tourism. We've been waiting for this, right, Jared?
Yeah, we've been waiting for this, and it's happening, and it's getting really busy up in orbit and also down here on the Space Coast.
Where else do you get to see all the action from the space programs, the theme parks, everything happening up and down the I-4 corridor?
It's pretty cool.
Between the Space Coast and Tampa. There's a lot going on. I'm fascinated by the research capabilities, too, that they're, once they get up there, all the things they're going to be working on. Thank you, Jerry. We'll see you in a little bit. Let's go ahead and go back and continue our team coverage here on Spectrum News. Will Robinson-Smith and Greg Pallone joining us live from the Kennedy Space Center. Gentlemen, take it from here.
Gosh, what's more to say? We have no technical problems to pass along. As we've discussed, the weather looking ideal out here, just beautiful blue skies. And as the captain just said a moment ago, you know, clouds aren't exactly getting along today because we don't have any clouds out here. And that's always a good thing. Don't have to worry about that. The 4-member Axiom-1 crew, they are on board the Crew Dragon capsule Endeavour, which is on top of the Falcon 9 from SpaceX at their historic pad 39A, where we have seen so many historic launches over the history of the space program. Of course, Apollo 11, the moon launch from there, the moon mission, and several others, and including the first and all of the space shuttle, those space shuttle missions that saw over that 30-year program.
Well, and you talk about history being made. I mean, since less than 2 years ago, we've seen 3 different official crew missions with SpaceX. You had Demo 2, Inspiration 4. This is going to be the 6th in less than 2 years with SpaceX. So the commercial crew program is just doing gangbusters right now. This, of course, being different from that, but it just shows you how much the commercial enterprise is really taking charge and working well with the established folks.
Yeah, and again, that partnership with NASA working alongside. This is NASA's new mantra and new mission is to explore deep space. And kind of nerding out just a little bit for those of us out here, we have something that we haven't seen since October of 2009. We have 2 rockets on the 2 pads here at the Kennedy Space Center. Back then, STS-129, there was, I forget which space shuttle it was, but we had a space shuttle out there on pad 39A where this SpaceX rocket is now. And we had the Ares 1X, which was the unfortunately canceled Constellation program, which led to now the Artemis program. The SLS rocket, which is out on pad 39B, going to be going through the second wet dress rehearsal, hopefully without any issues on this, preparing for a launch. We're thinking sometime hopefully in May.
Yeah, and with Axiom, going back to them, their partnership with SpaceX, that's going to endure for a while. We know they've signed a contract with the first 4 of their Ax-1 through 4 missions with SpaceX. Then they're going to open it up for competition. At that point, Boeing Starliner should be flying and crew certified. So it's going to be really interesting, because at that point, we're going to get closer to them having their own modules up there, so we'll see some different ships flying. Yep. It's an exciting time.
It is, and you want that competition. You want that access to the space station from these different companies working in partnership or in conjunction with NASA and the other space agencies. Let's go ahead and go back to the crew now. They've had quite the morning. They've went out and were able to get to the pad. They suited up and were able to get up to the top level with the crew access arm and get on board the crew capsule. And they are there now waiting for this liftoff, which is going to be happening here in a moment. I think, Will, we're going to go ahead and step aside. It is a little bit more than a minute to the launch of the Axiom-1 mission on a SpaceX Falcon 9 from pad 39A here at the Kennedy Space Center.
Go Axiom, go SpaceX.
All right, at this point in time, that LOX load on first stage is complete. So the first stage is now fully loaded with all of its propellant. LOX load on second stage continues. As we've mentioned before,
Stage 2 LOX load is complete.
All right, so there's that call. At this point in time, Falcon 9
Dragon is in auto idle.
Dragon is fully loaded with all of its propellants, nearly 1 million pounds of that propellant.
Next event coming up
Gas started.
right now, the gas closeouts. We finished pressurizing the storage tanks on board the Falcon 9. They gave the crew the heads up, and they hear some loud venting noises. We're also going to vent down the liquid oxygen line that carried the LOX up to the second stage. Generates a typical large white cloud of condensation around the strong back. Big event coming up now, T-minus 1 minute, all the flight computers take over. Let's listen in to the last minute of terminal count.
FTS is armed, Falcon 9 is in startup and now controlling.
Dragon is in countdown.
Dragon, SpaceX, go for launch.
SpaceX Endeavour, we acknowledge, go for launch.
T-minus 30 seconds. T-minus 15 seconds. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. Ignition. Stop. Go Falcon, go Dragon. Godspeed, Axiom-1.
Copy 1 Alpha.
Together, a new chapter begins. Godspeed, AX-1.
Stage 1 propulsion is nominal.
T-plus 38 seconds into this historic mission, flying crew on board Dragon and Falcon 9.
All right, telemetry nominal. Stage 1 throttle down.
Throttling down in the preparation for max dynamic pressure.
Falcon 9 is supersonic. XQ, 1 throttle up.
Merlin 1D engines coming back up to power.
1 Bravo.
Copy, 1 Bravo.
The crew calling out 1 Bravo should a escape situation arise. It tells the Dragon flight computer what profile to fly using the Super Draco engines. But everything is looking good on Falcon 9. We're getting nominal callouts from all the engineers and a great view from the ground camera and the onboard cameras.
Invac chill underway.
Beginning to chill in the second stage turbo pump in preparation for its ignition coming up in just over half a minute from now. Coming up on about 3.5 G's acceleration for the crew. We'll begin throttling down the Merlin engines to hold that level of acceleration. Next event coming up, we're going to get main engine cutoff of the 9 engines. We get stage separation and ignition of the second stage engine. You've heard the throttle down call out. We're holding 3.5 G's for the crew.
And Miko. Stage separation, copy 2 Alpha. Invac ignition.
Successful stage separation, ignition of the second stage engine. On the left, the titanium grid fins beginning to slowly deploy. Great views from the first stage camera. The first stage now begins a slow flip maneuver. You can see the white nitrogen gas plumes as we reorient for an entry back through the Earth's atmosphere a little bit later in the plus count. Second stage, we see the engine nozzle glowing red. Everything continuing to look good on the second stage.
There you have it, the launch of a SpaceX Falcon 9 on the Axiom-1 mission to the International Space Station. A flawless, beautiful launch to the beautiful blue backdrop of this sky here on the Space Coast. Just absolutely magnificent. Lots of crowds in and around the Kennedy Space Center to witness this historic launch of the first private astronaut crew to head to the ISS.
I mean, you couldn't have asked for better conditions. You know, throughout the week, the weather was just getting better and better and better. Less than 10% restrictions for liftoff, and yeah, right on time for that instantaneous window. No need for the backups, and this crew is now getting an experience of a lifetime. You know, and Michael Lopez Alegria now back in the skies for the first time as a private astronaut. You know, having flown so many times on the space shuttle.
Yeah, and it's amazing to think that we have 3 private citizens who've never been to space. They've never had a space flight. Now headed for, as you mentioned, the trip of a lifetime up to the International Space Station. All this leading toward Axiom-1 eventually getting a private space station of their own. They're kind of doing practice runs, and this is the very beginning of those practice runs up to the ISS to get their own modules up there and work from there and just see how things go through all the procedures, do some great research while they're up there as well, as they will be on the orbiting outpost now for 8 days once they arrive tomorrow morning.
And, you know, really an international cadre of folks. You've got Michael Lopez Alegria representing the U.S. and Spain. You've got the U.S. representation with Larry and Eitan representing Israel and Mark representing Canada. So really just a cool collection of guys, and, you know, speaking to a lot of different communities both in the States and around the world that are eagerly watching, just creating just that global engagement with space that so many people have worked for decades to really cultivate, that interaction, stimulate that fascination that we've, you know, had living on the Space Coast.
Heading to the appropriately named International Space Station. Folks, we have a tradition here on Spectrum News. We like to watch these rocket launches. We like to bring them to you. But just in case you stepped outside and saw it for yourself, we have a tradition, and that is to show replays of rocket launches. Here's a replay of a SpaceX Falcon 9 launching on the Axiom-1 mission from the Kennedy Space Center.
3, 2, 1, 0. Ignition. Stop. Go Falcon. Go Dragon. Godspeed. Axiom-1.
Copy 1 Alpha. Vehicle position downrange.
new chapter begins. Godspeed AX-1.
Stage 1 propulsion is nominal.
There you have it, a replay, and we can watch these rocket launches over and over and over again. Just a beautiful launch for Pad 39A as the SpaceX Falcon 9 delivering the Axiom-1 crew on its way to orbit and eventually arriving tomorrow at the International Space Station. Now it's time to watch over SpaceX's secondary mission. That's landing the first stage booster on the drone ship out at sea. This booster will very experienced, and as they have many in their fleet now who have seen multiple space flights.
Yeah, I believe this is going to be landing on Just Read the Instructions today. And, you know, this booster making its 5th flight in its lifetime. It supported a couple of GPS satellite launches as well as the last group of private citizens to fly to space with SpaceX. That would be the Inspiration 4 crew and SpaceX's other bread and butter, which is their Starlink satellite constellation.
Right.
It had a tour on that. So we're watching closely for that booster landing. We're going to keep an eye on that and bring that to you live when it happens. But really just proving out what SpaceX has done and continues to do. But they say, you know, with each launch, be it crew or cargo, that they learn something from it and they never want to take, especially when there's people on board,
Correct.
for granted.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, safety is the key, especially when you have, you know, astronauts and a crew on board. But again, they've proven that they can reuse these boosters on these very significant missions when you're talking about humans headed up, because that right there is monumental when you're talking about lives and then when you're talking about keeping the crew safe. So
and also for the government as well. I mean, in just a week, there's going to be a National Reconnaissance Office launch on the other coast, on the West Coast, and that's going to be using a reflown booster for the first time with one of those missions. So that it's marking another milestone.
There you go. Well, we're going to go ahead and listen in now to the coverage there from SpaceX as that first stage booster is zoning in on Just Read the Instructions drone ship out in the Atlantic Ocean. Let's listen.
Stage 2 in terminal guidance.
That's where we shut down the MVAC engine, or second engine cutoff.
Copy, Shannon. Stage 1 transonic.
Note that our landing burn and second engine cutoff will occur about the same time.
Shut down.
All right, we got a live view of the crew inside Dragon Endeavour there on the right-hand side of your screen.
Stage 1 landing burn.
Landing burn has begun for the first stage.
SpaceX, nominal orbit insertion.
All right, great news there. Dragon Endeavour, nominal orbit insertion.
SpaceX Endeavour, we copy, and it's great to be here. 0G, and we feel fine.
Stage 1 landing leg deploy. SpaceX Dragon launch skip system disarmed.
As you can see, this Falcon 9 has landed for the 5th time. All the while, great commentary there.
Landing confirmed.
While we can confirm the landing.
And we see another successful landing for that first stage booster. I want to make a quick correction. That was Shortfall of Gravitas is the name of that drone ship.
They're juggling those drone ships all over the place.
Coming in and out of Port Canaveral constantly. And, you know, some folks that get the chance to see it are people up in Titusville that got the chance to watch this launch. I want to send it out to our Ashleigh Mills. Obviously, a lot of excitement here at Kennedy Space Center. I can only imagine with the crowds that you're out with what the cheers must have been like for you there.
Oh, of course, there were cheers, applause, people really impressed. It is so impressive, almost emotional to see the launch. I'm here now with first-time onlooker Cindy Blonsky. This was a bucket list thing for you, Cindy. How do you feel now that you've seen it?
I'm getting goosebumps here just thinking about it. It was amazing, and as it was going up, just the cloud of smoke and in this crystal blue sky, it was gorgeous. And I kept thinking, there are people in there. There's human beings going up into space, and that was really amazing just to see and to witness. And we will definitely be back. So our bucket is not full enough yet. We'll be back.
You'll be back. Now, you said you also have kind of a long tradition of being space enthusiasts within your family. Tell me about that.
Well, my daughter has always wanted to be an astronaut. She's 30-something years old now, but so we've always been involved in what's happening happening with the space program and sometimes what's not happening. So we're glad to see things going on more and more. And I can't wait to bring our daughter and our grandson here especially. I really am looking forward to that opportunity as soon as we can.
Awesome. Thank you, Cindy. For now, we're going to go back over to Kennedy Space Center and Greg and Will.
All right, thanks a lot, Ashley. Yeah, family affair. You'll love to see that with rocket launches. And a successful launch right here. Waiting for the crew to arrive. They should arrive sometime around 6:30 tomorrow morning, docking with the International Space Station. Ybeth and Julie, another successful launch. Just a beautiful one out here with a just gorgeous painting of blue skies as that rocket bolted off the pad. And now that crew on its way to the ISS for this historic mission.
Incredible, awe-inspiring on so many levels. Everybody was high-fiving.
Yes.
We're high-fiving as well because it was beautiful to see. We want to thank you all for joining us here on Spectrum News for our special live team coverage of this historic launch. I'm Ybeth Bruzual.
And I'm Julie Gargotta. What a great start to our weekend. Have a good one.
We're seeing a big difference on Klystron 13 compared to 24 hours ago. Now that our front has exited, and we see that with those clouds off to our east, well offshore, moving through the Bahamas. So as drier air comes in, we